Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about what happened with XRP this morning and what happened in the pump event. Let's get into it. So as many of you know, there was a event or a group promoting an event on Telegram and a few other places saying that we were all going to pump XRP at 830. Now I'm just as guilty of getting hyped about it. I do want to point out that, at the end of the day, we are waiting for utility. So you got to put that into factor. But here's the thing. I did buy and I bought a little and I held and I absolutely lost a little bit of value. So it is what it is. At the end of the day, XRP is a long-term hold for me. So I'm not upset about the value that went down because I'm expecting it to go way back up anyway. But once we do see utility and this SEC case go away with XRP, we will absolutely see an organic growth of the token. So I wouldn't be too concerned after this little fiasco that happened this morning. But let's talk about why I'm actually really excited about what happened last night and this morning. Now, all last week we traded about 26 to 27 cents. It wasn't until just before this weekend that we broke that 30-cent mark. Now, no doubt the initial pump was caused by a lot of people coming in from the GME stocks thing that's been going on in the news, and obviously a lot of people went on and pumped Dogecoin, which yes, Flare announcing that they're wrapping Dogecoin could have had an impact in Dogecoin booming, but I don't think nearly as much as Wallstreetbet crowd. Now, do I think that Wallstreetbets had much to do in XRP pumping? Maybe a little bit, but I don't think quite a lot. I think that was just general excitement about XRP, what's been going on with the news with Ripple and their filing of the SEC lawsuit, and obviously the pump chat was kind of pushing people and getting everyone a little excited. So, it is what it is. So we went up to roughly around 71 to 72 cents through the night. It was a crazy high. So we haven't seen this in a long time, ever since the big SEC capitulation. Super bullish to see, which I'm super excited to see these numbers again. And once 830 rolled around like clockwork, the price just started dropping. It's like somebody pulled the drain out of the sink. Now, the odd thing that I will say that was weird and off-putting to me is that both Uphold and Kraken were down, and even I was having issues with Binance at the time. It wasn't significant. Like I said, I only lost a little bit of value. I lost out on roughly $160. Nothing crazy or life-changing. I hope that none of you lost anything that was super bad. Now, as much as I love a good conspiracy theory, I don't know that the exchange is halting trading or had those glitches was the big impact of why XRP dropped. And I don't think that the group was sufficient enough to make XRP pump the way that people were thinking that it was going to pump. You even saw people saying there was going to be a $5 XRP. The exciting part of the whole thing is XRP closed the week at 48 cents, which is pretty big. Now, one reason why that XRP crashed is obviously because people were taking profits. Another reason is because a lot of the crypto market this morning bled. Then finally, the other thing that I noticed is there were a lot, and I mean a lot, of short orders out on XRP at the time. It's almost like they knew when to short, which was interesting, and I'm not going to be speculative or anything or conspiracy, but it just did seem weird. So there obviously was a lot of shorting pressure on XRP, fully to be expected with XRP hitting the highs. Historically, as soon as XRP hits those highs, it usually drops right down. It's not surprising. XRP moved exactly how XRP usually moves. So really, this pump wasn't really out of the ordinary. Nothing was different than any other pump. We usually see it go incredibly high and then retrace, but a little bit higher than what it started at. Typically, this is how they go. So right now we're holding roughly around 30 cents to the 32, 33 cent mark. Again, I wouldn't be too concerned. I'm just adding the XRP that I bought to my bags and I'm not going to touch it. It does suck because that money was in my trading account and I was actually going to use it for a trading series, but looks like I'll have to figure out another way to get some money in there. So Dogecoin similarly took another dive. So Dogecoin pumped and consequently dumped. So now roughly in the 3 cent mark, somewhere around there. And again, this is something that the Wallstreetbet crowd had come in and they pumped Dogecoin. The one thing that I want to mention about Dogecoin is utility matters with any crypto. That being said, Dogecoin is going nowhere. Just like how Bitcoin has been pronounced dead hundreds of times, Dogecoin has also been pronounced the exact same. Dogecoin is a meme coin, but the fact of the matter is, it's still standing. And when something doesn't die this easy, that means it's going to be around for a long, long time. I fully expect that when I'm old, I'll probably have completed a bunch of transactions in Dogecoin. And obviously with the Flare news, that could have contributed to the pump, but I doubt that Flare had that big of an impact. But what Flare does bring to Dogecoin is utility and interoperability with other cryptocurrencies, which means Dogecoin's here to stay. So really, it's not that crazy to start thinking about dollar cost averaging some Dogecoin. And not financial advice. I'm just saying it's not going away anytime soon. So it wouldn't be a horrible idea just to throw a couple of bucks into Dogecoin every now and then. You know, you never know where it's going to go. One big thing that I want to talk about is pump and dumps in this community and what we saw today. And is it a pump and dump? To the definition of what we normally see as a pump and dump, especially in the .com era, and how, you know, in chat rooms they'd talk about certain stocks, certain penny stocks, and pump those stocks up. And obviously they dump the stock on everyone and get out before the investors. But you might be wondering why GameStop and Doge are fundamentally different and why those pumps are fundamentally different than .com pumps. The big difference here is that it was a coordinated effort to challenge the hedge funds on their bet. And ultimately, as I've said before and as I've mentioned before, capitalism allows us to vote with our dollars, which would mean that we have every right to fund GameStop if we think that the company can pivot, which is exactly what people did. Now, of course, they did it with the knowledge that hedge funds were overshorting the stock, but that was kind of the point. If shorting is there in the market to bring out fraud and inconsistencies like Bernie Madoff and the 2008 housing crisis, why can't we apply shorting to the exact same principles for hedge funds? If they're so bullish and so over the top on their bet and we find a way to say that they're wrong, what's wrong with that? So I don't think anything fundamentally is wrong with the GameStop pump. I think it was people putting pressure on the hedge funds that have been constantly putting pressure on the individual investor. Just now we understand the full power that we have. And this also represents how badly we need a decentralized exchange. Like now. I truly believe in tokenizing the world, tokenizing every asset, and I think that's where we're going to go. And with the Flare fork from XRP, I think we're right around the corner from tokenizing those assets and having it available on a lightning fast DEX, very cheap fees that we can all trade on 24/7. Imagine trading stocks just like crypto. So Wallstreetbets conducted what's called a short squeeze, essentially pushing up the price to the point of blowing out the short. Now, with a short, you are able to lose unlimited amounts of money and lose your entire position. With a long, when you're longing something, you won't lose everything. It's just fundamentally how it works because you could only go to zero. But with a short, you can go infinitely up, right? So it doesn't matter, but they were betting that GameStop, which of course is an outlet store, it hasn't met earnings, it's obviously outdated and hasn't evolved. Now, on the hedge fund conspiracy talk about hedge funds buying Reddit accounts and coordinating this effort, I think maybe theoretically, somebody could leak that a hedge fund is so over leveraged on shorts of GameStop that we can take them out coordinatedly. Like I suppose that is something that can happen. I wouldn't put it past in 2021, but the reality is I don't think this is it. I think negligence and fraud is just so wrought in the system, and we know this. We know how bad the system is, and I feel like it's just so glaring. It was out in our faces that they were clearly manipulating the market and beating down a company, which of course you can argue that the company had no business being open. It has been in a decline, but the reality is they have a new CEO, they're trying to turn the company around, and now they've secured all this funding. So could GameStop be back at the $3 mark? I don't think you will ever see GameStop down at the $3 mark again. With good leadership, now that they have funding, I don't think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see a well and above GameStop that is probably floating around the $50 mark, and it'll blow out all their shorts and none of them will make money. And I think that alone makes me happy about the whole thing. I'm so happy that a bunch of Redditors, just a bunch of random people, stuck it to the man and got millions and then went out and are voting with their dollars right now to either put more pressure on their hedge funds or going into crypto and completely opting out into the system and coming into the only free market left. Now, of course, a market isn't free with centralized exchanges. As much as I love Binance and I love Kraken, we need a DEX. And this is something that we absolutely need. We know that Flare runs under the slogan of unlocking value, and that's exactly what the Flare token does. It allows interoperability with every other token that it builds onto the Flare network. And once they release the DEX with the Flare network, I think it's going to be game over in terms of what we're trading. I think we can tokenize stocks at that point, start tokenizing assets, and bring them onto a decentralized exchange that nobody can call up and shut down. Nobody can tell you you can only trade one share. But also, at the same time, you can only short the amount of shares that are available. You can't just have shares appearing out of thin air because you want to take more risk. It makes no sense. It's exactly like printing money, and that is something that is so against what we are for in cryptocurrency. We are totally about the hard asset and having that asset, having it finite and having it being scarce, so you can't just print more, right? You can't just make more up because you ran out. That's not how this works. The reason why a currency has value is because it's finite and we trust it. Those are the two fundamental reasons. But when you have something like fiat currency, it will only last until the trust lasts. Once the trust is out, it's gone. That's it. What happens when you don't trust the United States dollar? At that point, it's all over. Well, obviously I went on a little rant there, so I'm sorry. So in conclusion, I really don't think that a small little Telegram group, and I know it was like above 200,000 people and everything, but I don't think they could have enacted enough change in the market. We're talking about billions of dollars here. If people are saying that we were going to see a $1 XRP, we would have had to see the market cap at least go 3 times, which is so much. It was at I think 13 billion. We would have need to see $26 billion enter the market overnight. That's what would have needed to happen to see that $1 XRP. Realistically, that wasn't possible with the group that everyone had. And do you really want XRP to be artificially pumped? Is that what we want? Or do we want to wait for utility for when it really matters? All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed my perspective. I really hope that you're hodling XRP. And I will be putting out my portfolio update video later on this week, so go ahead and subscribe to not miss that. All right, guys, thanks very much. Happy hodling.